So the last day of the 2024 AFL trade period has finally come, and holy crap, it was definitely crazy. Like, I was on the edge of my seat literally half the time. I mean, you can see my chubby cheeks are a little bit blush and a little bit red right now. That is not because I have extremely high blood pressure problems or anything like that. I was just a little bit on the edge of my seat, and right now, if I check my John Cena watch, I passed by the time, it's like 26 degrees at the time I'm making this video, so my balls are currently on fire as we speak. But again, before we get into all the AFL, trades and deadline moves and all of the above, of course, again, I would just like to say there is still a pretty big amount of you guys who watch these videos who are not subscribed to the channel. So if you guys could, do me a favor and make sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on that notification bell. Obviously, it would mean a hell of a lot. But we're going to be getting into every deadline day AFL trade. But the first one here being said that Bailey Smith and pick 45 get to Geelong, while Matt Kennedy and pick 17 get to the Dogs. Jack McRae gets to the Saints, and Carlton get pick 38. Again, this is a really, really weird one, considering the Doggies were like so strong on getting a second round pick, and even at one stage asking for 2 second round picks for Jack McRae. For them to settle on pick 45 is pretty crazy to me. Like, that's just the reality of things. I think, the Doggies, of course, that 45 did end up getting moved to Geelong, and all of these trades shuffled around and whatnot. We see that at the end now, the Dogs get Matt Kennedy and pick 17, and I was vocal on this channel previously in one of the previous videos talking about how I don't think the Doggies should have gone for Matt Kennedy. I'm not exactly too sure if that was a good idea, but at the end of the day, they did lose Bailey Smith, an inside midfielder, Jack McRae, an inside midfielder, and Caleb Daniel, who is a backman. But you're bringing in some depth in Matt Kennedy, who fills in that inside midfield spot. The only thing is that McRae was barely in the team. Bailey Smith hadn't played all year. It's kind of like, well, yeah, I don't know how much they needed to do this. Pick 17 is a good return as well for Bailey Smith, who at times it was starting to look like the Geelong Cats were getting a little bit pissed off and we're going to walk this dude to the preseason draft. In terms of Carlton, again, getting pick 38 for Matt Kennedy is great, because as mentioned on this channel before, the reason they told Matt Kennedy to move on and look for a different team was not because Matt Kennedy's a bad player. It's just because their midfield was way too one-dimensional, and it was way too slow, way too easy to be figured out by teams. And you can tell they're looking to add some speed in there now by potentially bringing in a Finn O'Sullivan at pick 3 and doing a couple other moves. So again, this makes sense for them to clear some salary, but also get a pick back in return for a guy who probably wouldn't have been in their 22 next year, not because he wouldn't be good enough, just because he wouldn't have fit what their midfield was going to evolve into. Again, the next one, we've got the Hawthorn Football Club getting Tom Barrass and their future 4th round pick back, which is pretty funny, while West Coast ended up getting their future 1st from Hawthorn, the future 2nd from Hawthorn, and the future 3rd from Hawthorn. The Hawks deciding to keep Carlton's future 1st and not actually chuck in this deal, which means they are betting on themselves. Again, this is a fantastic trade because my eyes have kind of been open to why West Coast now were actually wanting future picks, and that's because they are obviously going absolutely all in for Chad Warner next year. Again, we know they're going to want to keep their 1st round pick next year. Let's just say they have pick 2 or pick 3, right? Something like that. They're not going to be wanting to trade their pick for Chad Warner if they're a chance to getting him. But it seems like they think they're a chance because they're bringing in these future assets to make it happen. Again, they're probably going to be offering now that Hawthorn future 1st, their own future 1st, all of that type of stuff to try and get Chad Warner. But at the end of the day, the goal was to keep their pick next year, which I don't think they're going to be wanting to par with. Again, Tom Barrass gets to Hawthorn. They're just setting themselves up to be a Super Bowl favorite, man. That's just the reality of things. Yeah, they're a big chance at winning the flag next year. Getting in Battle and getting in Barrass to help out that back line is kind of like sex on a stick. I'm not going to lie. They've done a really good job there. We've also got Caleb Daniel going to the North Melbourne Football Club for pick 25. Oh my god, I mean, the dog's cooked here. Like, the dog's absolutely cooked here. You know that video of Gunner riding down? He's cooking something great. That's what the dogs did on this trade. I mean, they kind of fleeced North Melbourne. I'm not going to lie here, but also if you're looking at it and you're a North Melbourne fan, I don't think Caleb Daniels is that good, but in reality, like some of you guys have said, Caleb Daniels is a great veteran, a great leader who was going to push the standard at training and push these younger kids to be a lot better footballers. And for his first year, he might still be in their 22, and I guess they'll see how they go from there. Again, there's still some people who genuinely believe out there that Caleb Daniel can be a good defender in the right system. So maybe that's where North Melbourne are trying to go for this. Again, the other one, Jake Stringer, going to GWS for pick 53. It's a whatever trade. I think a lot of Essendon fans were really fed up. I know this one Essendon guy who thinks the whole entire roots of Essendon's problems from the last 30 years have just been Jake Stringer. He hates him that much. The reality is this is a good trade for the fans who don't like Jake Stringer, but also a good trade for GWS, I guess, who are looking to bring in some depth for the other players they lost, like James Peatling, Harry Perryman, and Isaac Cumming. You're bringing in a guy here who at least has played a lot of senior footy and can maybe help out the team potentially here and there. So I guess a good trade in the end, but yeah, I don't know. We also got the trade that sent Luke Parker and Jacob Constanti, something, I don't know, for pick 44. This is one of those ones as well that I felt like North, they actually did really well here. I mean, Sydney probably could have got something better than pick 44 for Luke Parker. I mean, if 25 got sent for Caleb Daniel, Luke Parker is literally a way better player than Caleb Daniel. So that's a really interesting trade and how that works. The other Jacob Kitty dude, he was going to get delisted anyway, so he's just been thrown into this trade as an extra add-on. We also got the Adelaide Crows receiving James Peatling, future third and a future fourth, and they gave up their future second. Again, Adelaide cooked here. I've got a video coming out very soon about how I think Adelaide have just really dominated this off-season, had one of the best off-seasons they've had in a very long time, quite frankly, and they do really well in this trade. I guess GWS, they're bringing in assets for a man who I think was a mid-season draft pick, and it's a good asset in that future second-round pick. So even though there's still a chance Adelaide are bad, that could be a good pick for them. I think Adelaide will actually now climb the ranks next year because they're building a really solid foundation there. Gold Coast, of course, traded pick 6 and 23 for Daniel Rioli, 51, 61, 70, and 76. This, to me, is possibly the most win-win trade here. I think both clubs benefit really good out of this. Daniel Rioli is Richmond's best and fairest winner. He is Richmond's best player, if we're not counting a healthy Tom Lynch, probably. 6 and 23, they bring in who can hopefully help this new next wave of young kids going forward and be that next wave. While, again, Daniel Rioli, he could be an All-Australian player at Gold Coast. He's been knocking on the door for the last couple years at halfback for Richmond. If he played in a better outfit this year, he could have very well been in that All-Australian contention. I think Gold Coast, he will fit so well into that Damien Hardwick game style, and we saw what Dimmer turned him into in 2022. This is a much more experienced Rioli now at halfback. I'm scary to see what that's going to look like. And those 4 third and fourth round picks, again, you can now use them to match your academy players like Leo Lombard, etc. So this is a massive win-win for both teams. Both teams do really well out of this. And then, of course, the last one, Shai Bolton, pick 14, a future third, get to the Fremantle Football Club, while Richmond, of course, get back in 10, 11, and 18. I'm going to have to kind of give the edge to Richmond in this trade. They really got what they want in the end in that 10 and 11, while also getting in an 18. 3 first-round picks for 1 first-round pick and an elite small forward. But don't get me wrong, the reason Freo slightly overpaid in this deal is because they are bringing in the best small forward of 2022, a top 5 small forward of the last 3 years, and a guy who you know is going to double his gameplay when he is under a key forward, which he hasn't been the last 2 seasons. Not just that, they are Freo want to win a premiership. They want to win their first premiership, and this could be the tilt that helps them potentially go and do it. He is an amazing pickup for the Fremantle Football Club, and they still keep a first round pick in 14, which they can use in the draft to really do whatever they want. So it makes sense. It does hurt a lot for Richmond to see probably their near best player of 2022 and a top 3 player for them go. But at the end of the day, those 3 first round picks, you should hopefully bring in a guy with at least one of those picks who will be a top 5 to top 10 player for you guys for the next couple of years. And that's not even talking about if they hit on all of them. So we'll have to definitely wait and see. Again, if you haven't already, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Comment all of your thoughts and opinions on this all down below. What are you guys' thoughts and opinions on the last trade day of the deadline and whatnot? I'd very much like to know. Subscribe to my gaming channel, MIRL/flowing channels. Links for them will be in the description down below. And I guess I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.